morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Zoe.
I'm Mark.
And we are the Board Adventurers. So for today's video, we're going to be doing a fresh off-the-shelf review for Trekking the World, the second edition of the game. I want to give a shout out thanks to Underdog Games for providing a review copy of the game. This game is designed by Nick Bentley and Charlie Bink, and as I said before, published by Underdog Games.
So this game plays 1 to 5 players. We're really going to review the 2 to 5 player version because that's the one we mainly play with. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up the board on the table. Again, we're just going to go through the arc of the game. You're going to take each of your own little individual meeples and you're going to start them on an airport somewhere on the board. You're going to take one of these little dials and set it to 0. And you're going to take your own little suitcase. That will kind of keep all of your souvenirs that you collect throughout the game. So on your turn, you're going to be looking at these types of cards. And there's three important things you need to know, and you need to perform them from top to bottom in that order. So the top is a movement action. So the movement is either a 1, 2, or 3. You must move the amount that you have of that number. You can move through opponents' spaces. You can land on opponent spaces. You just cannot double back. So like if I was to start on a certain location and I moved 1 away and I have 1 more movement, I can't move back or through the location that I started on. All right, so then whatever you land on, you'll land in a certain location. Then you're gonna look at the second part of the card, which is the middle part. That'll tell you the amount of money that you gain. So you're gonna gain that by moving your tracker up that amount of money. Then you're going to look at your the bottom. So depending on the continent that you land on, you're going to then get a souvenir of that color cube into your suitcase if you ended your movement in that continent. Okay. Then after that, you're going to look at possibilities because there's going to be these certain these encounter locations, and there's going to be encounter locations and there's going to be tour cards. The encounters give you a specific ability, whether you can use it in-game or it's worth end-game scoring. And it kind of varies from there. The other thing you could do is if one of the places that has a tour is available, you can buy a tour in the city or the location that you're in. You'll pay the amount of money, so you're going to lower your dial down that amount, and you're going to take that tour and you're going to place it into your tour kind of like area. The game will end, you'll each keep playing turn by turn, moving, collecting money, gaining souvenirs, until the end of the game when in a 2 to 3 player game, I believe it is, you get 5 tours. In a 4 to 5 player game, you get 4 tours. Each person will still get a turn to go, so each person will get equal amounts of turns. And then you're going to get, then you're going to score based on the amount of your tours total, the amount of your encounters that give you endgame victory points, and your suitcase. So the suitcase is that whenever you get a souvenir, you're going to get one of the 4 colors. So you have blue, red, yellow, and black. Whenever you complete a whole row, that will complete an endgame victory point number. The further amount of rows that you fill up, the more victory points you'll get further down the road. And then that'll be the end of the game. If there's a tie, then whoever has the most money will win the game. And that's about the general idea of how Trekking the World Second Edition plays. What do you think?
Yeah, one thing I like about Trekking the World, second edition of the game, is that any of the marketing material or you look up the game, they really lay down who the game is for and what type of gamer it's for, and I really like that. They mentioned that this is for people who enjoy light games or want to use the game to introduce people into the hobby,
right,
or like simple, short games with family, stuff like that. And I like that because that puts into perspective, at least for me, what this game is. And for what it's aiming for, I think it works as sort of an introductory game to this sort of hobby game mechanics that it has. It's very quick. It's very breezy. There's little AP in this game. But that goes into my con a little bit for this is that it is too simple for me. That there's very little tension for me in this game. And it's very little player interaction, right? It's a multiplayer game, and there's going to be moments where people are going to be taking cards that you want as well. But it's very, very little interaction with the game in which everyone's just running around the same map that's supposed to be the world.
Right.
And one thing, too, that I'm noticing with subsequent playthroughs of this game is that this is very luck-based. You could start off in, say, for instance, Australia, and have a lot of things for Australia, and then you're dry. No Australian things come out for a while, and now you got to figure out a way to get from Australia to another continent, as opposed to someone else that just might luck of the draw get a lot of things in the continent that they're in and stay there.
Right.
It's very luck based that way. But other than that, I think it for the most part works for what it's trying to accomplish. What about you? What do you think?
I enjoyed this game a decent amount. Jen, my wife, and I had played Trekking Through History, which I believe is the same company.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed that game. It's actually like right over here too. But I was pretty pumped actually to play this game because it kind of has that same feel, and getting into the gameplay is quite easy. And I think that's the intent of what they had here, is that they're trying to make it as welcoming and introductory as possible. And it kind of helps. Like, I don't know, like we don't really talk about components.
Yeah.
But the components in this game are quite good, in my opinion. Like,
Agreed.
I really enjoy like that suitcase, that double layer of you're fitting the little square into that like little slot there. One thing we didn't talk about was the tokens. So like whenever you get on your suitcase a certain amount of color, you're going to get a token of that thing, and they'll give you a special ability that you can use once per game. You just have to trade in the token to do that ability.
Yeah. I know you brought up components too, and I think the components in iconography is probably the biggest asset for the game. It just really works. It's really efficient iconography. I love the world map. And I know there are other games that have a similar type of map. Like Pandemic has this sort of map where it's like continents and going from place to place. And I think this looks like the cleanest out of all the games that I've seen with this sort of board.
Yeah, because to me, like I think to me it you can kind of track easily what you need to do on your turn.
Yeah,
it just feels like, okay, I know I need to move 3 to get the encounter that I need to then use that encounter in another turn.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of, now am I in the same continent? If I'm in the same continent, I get the cube. And then I might have like a token, right? There's a rule in this game where if you want to fly from an airport to an airport, you have to pay $1.
Yeah.
But that plane, that blue itinerary token, lets you fly to any airport for free. So like there's points where like you want to try to get encounters where you can use those to get other possible resources to use then that can fuel your like ease of getting money or travel. Like that yellow one where it doubles the amount of money that you get. You start to prioritize like, oh, I'll move 1 space for that 3.
Yeah.
But I'll have enough now for a tour easily.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's good. I think it really works for what it's trying to do. My biggest thing, and we played it a number of times, is like this can probably get old really fast. Even for the people that it's the target audience. I feel like once you introduce it to a family member, play it a couple times, it's almost like, okay, cool. Now you get hobby board games. Let's move up a step.
That's fair.
I don't think it's a game that's kind of like, I'd say it's worth keeping in your collection as a good introductory game.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think definitely like this is someone that maybe an ideal person you would introduce this to is someone that has traveled the world. They're like, what can maybe wants to see what kind of board games have that.
Yeah.
This would be a great game to kind of show them that and kind of let them delve into, further games.
Yeah, I agree. And I like that for this game because of how it's a very pretty game. Components, it really just cubes, but it just feels nice. It works well with the suitcase board. Even the tokens are good, even though it's simple, but it works. Yeah. And I think it really escapes the whole the bloat of board games where just what's the component wise being good is just a bunch of components.
Right.
It really simplifies it and makes really good components based off of that. I like that with this game.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. So in terms of a review score for this game, where are you with this?
I actually quite enjoy this game. I think as someone that, one of the reasons we call this the Board Adventurers is because we love to travel around, and like traveling the world is one of like the goals we have. And this kind of gives us at least the capability to like almost experience it.
Yeah.
Like I know every time I've played so far, I see Sagrada come out, and I immediately want to buy Sagrada.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody takes Sagrada. I'm gonna go to Europe. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a tour there.
Nice.
And like one of the cool things that they like on the back of the card, it lets you like it gives you information on the location.
Yeah, I like that. I love
That's
that.
like that's like another like little cool thing. I'm coming in at a 4. I enjoyed this game a decent amount.
Nice.
I think they have simple actions. I think this is very welcoming to a lot of newer people.
Yeah.
You can play this in 30 minutes, maybe to 45 if you know the game. It could just be a quick, like, okay, let's just set up, and then, like, teardown is just so easy too.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of pieces in this game. This is like one of those games where it's like, I just played a lot of heavy games today. What's something lighter but still gives me a little bit of crunch in it? And this kind of fits into that slot right now.
Nice.
This is good. What about you?
Yeah, for me, I've been waffling between a 4 and a 3.5 for this. And I think I'm settling at a 3.5. I do think this is a good game that really succeeds at what it's trying to do. And I like that about this game, that it really has a specific, this is the audience that we want to hit, and this is how we're going to hit it. And I think it really succeeds at that. My only thing is the luck-based aspect of this game. And I worry about it with higher player counts. You can't really plan out what you're doing as much because things are just flipping in and out.
Yeah, it does feel like, just maybe going into that, is that at higher player counts, it doesn't matter what anyone else does aside from the person right before you. Because there's sometimes, because your itinerary cards, there's like 4 of them. Likely those will get shuffled out, and by the time it gets to you, it's a completely new set of cards.
Yeah, it's harder to plan out. It is luck based off like what cards come out at the time it comes out. That I'm not the biggest fan of. And I wish there was a little bit more player interaction in terms of moving around the board itself. And we haven't played the original Trek in the World, which from what I understand had a lot of some player interaction aspects to it, and they kind of removed that a little bit for this version to make it lighter.
Okay.
Which I guess makes sense with the audience it's trying to reach. But for me personally, I would rather have that player interaction in there.
Okay.
So for me, I've been waffling between 4 and a 3.5, and I think I'm coming down to 3.5 for this game. Still think it's good though. But yeah, that's where I'm at for Trek in the World, 2nd edition.
Yeah.
I gotta remember to add that in.
Yeah.
Zoe,
I'm Mark.
we'll see you on the next adventure.